Yeah, exactly. So if that's, and what you're describing is a raster. Like when you zoom in and it gets blurry, look at how crispy that vector is. These are all vector edges. They're perfect lines. So like the other way to do this, let me just demonstrate that. So in Photoshop, I'm just going to take this permit set, open this. Gotta find where this is, open this one, and I'm gonna go permit set, copy. Throw this in my desktop temp folder, paste that in there. Okay, Photoshop, I'm gonna go to my temp folder and I can just drag this permit set right into Photoshop, right? And then it's going to prompt me, which page do you want to bring in. So we'll just bring in page 2. We're going to set it at 300 resolution because that's about as high as you want to go. It's 24 by 36, so this is going to create a giant raster image. All right, so we'll do that. All right, so then I'm going to do a file and choose Save As, and we're going to save this as a JPEG. All right, save that. And I'll just, make it a large file, who cares. All right, so now I'm going to go over here to SketchUp. And now here's the thing with this. I got to go to File and choose Import. Instead of our DWGs and our DXF, I'm going to switch this to all supported image types. Where did I save that? We want to go to our desktop temp, save this as a JPEG, save that. Okay. All right, so here in SketchUp, there's our JPEG import. Now, I can place this image. I've imported it as a texture. I need to import as an image. See, it wouldn't let me place it because it was a texture. That has to be put on a surface. I want to import as an image. All right, so an image now is its own entity in SketchUp. And when I zoom in on it, look at how nasty and blurry that gets. Well, I can tell you a tip on this is to go to, what is it, window, let me see, I don't work like this, so this is a goofy one. So use maximum texture size. See, it gives me a warning. It's going to really bog down my graphics card, but watch what happens, or we should see something happen. We'll say okay. Oh, so much better. So I don't know if you guys could totally see how much better that got, but it's readable now. So, that's good. Like, you got to have a pretty, high-powered machine, but that's going to be under Window, Preferences, OpenGL, Use Maximum Texture Size. So if your PDF is getting real blurry, set it up like that. That's all good. But, again, not recommended because really it's better to use the vector. I could go in here and resize this thing using my tape measure tool. I basically created a group. So now I can say 29 feet. Scale that one alone. So now that guy can sit in here. So maybe you want both. I don't know. So, yeah. Oh, that would work. You just have to type in. And actually, this is actually a really good point. If I found that the CAD was that off, like, to me, that CAD line work was really messy. It's calling out dimensions like 11'1", 3'4". It's calling out really clean dimensions. I gotta have like absolute perfection on the model, or else I can't trust the dimensions. It all snowballs from there. So I would actually consider importing the JPEG like this and just typing in the dimensions, because what I'm finding is that, like, when I go through here, if I were to like hide that and say like, well, look, this dimension, it's 11 foot 63 and 64, 63 64ths. It's supposed to be 11'1". I would just go back and redraw it and say forget it, forget snapping to these points. So it actually worked out. That was a good example. So as far as scaling this image, so if you remember, all right, so here's what I did. Okay, so here's where we imported this image, right? So this is actually defined as an image in SketchUp. Now, if I were to go zoom into this image and just do my tape measure tool and say like, yeah, look, this is 29 feet, right? It says, do you want to resize the model? Well, that means that this is going to resize that model globally. That whole model gets resized. And that's going to mess up what I did already to my CAD drawing. All right? So we don't want to do that. I'm going to say no. What I like to do is, instead of having an image, I like to explode the image, because now what it is, it becomes a surface with a texture applied to it. All right? And then I'm going to make this into a group. All right? So it's basically a texture, a surface with a texture applied to it. And now I've taken that texture, I double-clicked on it, made it a group. So now it reads as a group. Now, if I do that same, if I right-click and choose Edit Group, I'm inside of that group now. If I run that same tape measure tool command and go from, like, let's say this is 54 feet. So I'll go from here to here. Let me do that again. I got to tap Control so I'm not drawing a guide. Like that. I'm going to type in 54 feet, enter. See, this time, because I'm inside of a group, it says, do you want to resize the active group or component? So this is only going to affect this one group rather than globally scaling the model. So I'll say yes. All right, let me just verify from here. That's 5 feet for our purposes, right? So now I can back out of here and see, now this thing should be, pretty much perfectly scaled in line with this guy. So we can do something like that. That way you got both. Maybe that's helpful. Actually, it could be helpful because then you can see the dimensions as you're moving. So, I could see the value in having both of these guys pulled in here. So